Clan. It's the PTCs. Here come the PTCs. Here come the Wu-Tang Clan. They won't let you forget them. The free thinkers dress and chill, remember that. Just in case we ever link up and make a pact. The title held by him, Snoop Von Poop, means what you think you know. He knows the scoop, so don't think twice. What was secret now drops. Khakis with the shades, blunt never stops. Talking riddles, drive with silence. Guard against the haters with hilarious defiance. But yo, we ain't on no scripted list. We straight vibing, connections, no fingerprints. Heard something wild, watch your feet, cause you never quite know where the Wu-Tang's at.
Here come the Wu-Tang Clan, Wu-Tang Clan.
Free thought defenders.
Here come the Wu-Tang Clan, Wu-Tang Clan. They won't let you forget them, won't let you forget.
Now from the windy city streets of Chi-Town night. On the timeline, bright post enter sight. Camera zoom on a legendary doom, but then like boom, dry jokes fill the room up with the quickness. Link with the witnesses, phone booth, prod, vivid stories turn to epics. Ain't no PTC,
Nah, please,
do what we say, that's the way we kick it.
yeah, nah, me.
I see Snoop get wicked on you with that dry humor. We your first, last, and only line of laughs against the worst boredom in the universe. So don't fear us. If you ever get near, don't sneer us.
We feel it.
PTCs freezing up all the slack.
What's that stand for? Wu-Tang Clan.
And the Wu-Tang Clan. The Wu-Tang Clan.
Let me see you just bounce it with me.
Just bounce with me.
Bounce with me.
Bounce it with me.
Come on, let me see you just slide with me.
Just slide with me.
Slide.
Just slide with me.
Slide. Come on, let me see you take a walk with me.
Just walk with me.
Walk with
Take a
me.
walk with me.
Come on, tune in Tuesday at 6 EST. Here's the thing.
Now freeze!
Here come the Wu-Tang Clan, Wu-Tang Clan. Free thought defenders. Here come the Wu-Tang Clan, Wu-Tang Clan. They won't let you forget them. Oh no.
Alright, check it. Let me tell you this in closing. Snoop might seem imposing, but trust me, if he ever drops in your section, believe me, it's for your own connection. Cause he knows celebs that you need not know, and he hits places that you need not go. So live your life, forget that lame crap. Show love to the dry wit, cause that's the Von end. That's the Von end.
Here come the Wu-Tang Clan, Wu-Tang Clan. Here come the defenders. Free defenders. Here come the Wu-Tang Clan, Wu-Tang Clan. They won't let you forget them, won't let you forget them. Yeah. Here come the Wu-Tang Clan. Oh, here they come. Sports love and crew. Here come the Wu-Tang Clan. They won't let you forget them.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Phone Booth Productions.
Here's the thing.
Well, I get up around 7, get out of bed around 9. I don't worry about nothing, no, because worry's a waste of my time. Show usually starts around 7, we go on stage around 9. Get on the bus about 11, sipping a drink and feeling fine. Hello.
Clive Christopher, what is up, my dude?
What's up, my man? How you doing?
I'm fantastic. How about yourself?
Man, I'm doing good, man. It's Tuesday morning here in in Arizona. It's beautiful outside. Weather's perfect. Got the windows open. Just a little bit of gardening and relaxing and hanging out with you, man. So how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm just glad you're here, man. Because we talked on the other podcast, so I wanted to have you on mine because this is a little bit different than the phone booth. It's a little more personable. We don't have
Okay.
to get into all that conspiracy stuff. But
I don't mind it, man. But yeah, what's up, man? Let's
yeah, no, we
let's
do a
do it.
little
I'm
bit of it.
down.
But how's your holidays, man?
Man, holiday, honestly, man, it was, family, kids, friends, neighbors, community, you know what I'm saying? I took, some time off, stacked a bunch of films, new films
There you
at the
go.
end of that year for the fourth quarter. So being that I was able to do that, I was able to take that time off. And man, it was perfect. You know what I'm saying? Just relaxed, like I said, and watch the little ones, do the whole Christmas, Santa Claus, presents, food, football, family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what it was about, man. How was yours?
It was good. It was good. I had some family came to town and spent some time with the friends and the neighbors and like you said, community. And then
Yeah.
I took a little vacation, went up to the Grand Canyon for a few days.
Mm.
I had some company in town and we went up there and had a good old time. But before we jump into things, I want to promote your website here. So let me pull up this UPC code here. And everybody, go ahead and scan that UPC code, and it'll take you to it's Golden Record Productions website, and that's Clive's website, and you can find out everything he's got going on. Tell us a little bit about what you do. I know you produce documentaries, mainly the Aliens Uncovered series. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so we're, Golden Record Productions, we're really on the verge. I don't want to say on the verge. We are becoming a leader in just film content, documentary films. We're exploring other film options, but we have a crime series, we have the Alien series. We're looking at taking the Skywatch series, which is our newest one, and we're presenting something that a lot of people really aren't doing with that series. So we're more of like a production company, a network where you can come and find multiple things, and we'll be, adding on as we go. We're looking into purchasing a building, whether it's already there or we build it. But yeah, man, we've put out 22 films over the past 2 years.
That's
When it
incredible.
comes to Thank you. When it comes to any production company, whether you're Sony or Miramax or Universal, whatever, or even the smallest independent company like myself, we put out 11 films last year. So,
That's
um,
amazing. Yeah, I was
yeah, man.
blown away when you came on the phone booth, and like I wanted to watch a couple of the Aliens Uncovered before we spoke, and I was blown away by how many there were. I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit. And then there's the other one, the mockumentary. I can't remember the name of it. What was it?
Who killed Angel Adams? Who
Who
killed
Killed
Angel
Angel Adams? Yeah,
Adams?
yeah. Did I hear you're making another mockumentary or something like that?
So we and it's funny because when I made Who Killed Angel Adams, I in my mind, see, I didn't go to film school. You know what I'm saying? Like I had a path that I woke up one day and was like, I'm gonna make an alien documentary because I live in Arizona. You do too. So
Yes.
right? Like, what's going on here. I was tired of Vegas, I was tired of Roswell. I could do it on my own. But also, one of my jobs was the Fox to Disney merger. So I had a lot of information sitting down with the executives when that merger was taking place. So I was asking a lot of questions. What route do I go to with a documentary film? One of the things they told me at that time before was, the acquisition of Tubi. You want to make sure you get on Tubi and stuff like that. So
And you
my
are.
direction, it was just totally different from most people who are directors, actors, they go to school and all this stuff. So, I had that route and, kind of went, especially with the pandemic and everything taking place, the world shutting down. lot of people forget that the independent filmmaker, we held it down for about 3 years.
Yeah.
And that was really when Tubi took off and began to
Yeah.
skyrocket. So my whole background is just completely different.
Well, that experience is probably way more valuable than school. You know what I mean? You learn much more than you're gonna learn in school, probably. I would assume, anyways. I never went to school either, so you know.
I looked at it like this, man. It was a job, but it was also like a master's college course. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like, they at that time they were talking about, presenting something to compete with Netflix. Netflix was big because there was no commercials. We Netflix got away from the advertising. And one thing about advertising I specifically remember is it fuels everything. It pays for everything. You don't need memberships or anything
Yeah.
like that. You can just inject the commercials and go. So there was really nothing wrong with the advertising aspect. It was the cable part of it and wanting to cut down on the prices. So learning certain things like trends and
Mm,
intellectual property and the value of what that could be when it starts versus when it goes live, and what it makes over a certain amount of time. Now you can say, well, it can make this over the next 5 to 6 years. So it was just so much that I learned, and I look at it like it was a master's college course because they taught me. I mean, literally, I was sitting at the table when they jokingly named Disney Plus, and when you think about it, all of these apps now, like Apple TV Plus, Paramount Plus, everything is Plus, right?
yeah.
Well, we released what I think was the first known. It was FX Plus,
Oh,
and FX Plus at that time they weren't sure if that was going to go into Disney. So they were like, well, what are we going to do if Disney doesn't take FX Plus, because it had Archer and what
is
was
it
Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
But
yep.
the shows was just not really fit for Disney. So we were sitting down at the table and they were like, well, if Disney doesn't take this, what are we going to call the app for Disney? And this guy, his name was Adam Smoody. Shout out to Adam Smoody. And he said jokingly, he said Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And years later, we all looked up, and sure enough, Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So now there's a lot of these other apps that kind of taken that same role, and that started with FX Plus. I have to look at that and see, but I believe FX Plus was the first one.
Wow. You mentioned we're both in Arizona, so I want to give a quick shout out to the Bonfire Bar and Grill. If you haven't been there, Clive, there's one in Tempe. I think you're on the east side. I think you told me.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so go check it out in Tempe, man. They got good pizza. They got good uh, burgers. Just amazing food. The burnt ends are fucking phenomenal, dude. I love
Okay,
them.
okay, okay.
So
I'll
yeah,
check.
there's two locations in the valley, and they're sick, man.
What's it
Um,
called again? Say that one more time.
the Bonfire.
The bonfire. I love a good bonfire,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
The name
Go.
is so fitting for Arizona too, because if you grew up here, you knew what it's, bonfires, the middle of nowhere before all the building and stuff. Like,
Yeah, well,
man,
I'm glad you said that because I want to talk about growing up, man. I wasn't born here in Phoenix, but I moved here in '86.
okay.
So I mean, I've been out here a long time. So I know you grew up here as well, right?
Yeah, so I was born in Philly. I moved here in 84, 85.
Okay, about the same time.
So yeah, about the same time, right? And yeah, man, when I came out here, I was introduced to names that I really I didn't understand the magnitude of those names until I got
What?
older, and I'm sitting with you now. But like Tom Collinborn was one of those names. My grandmother, she was somebody of importance. So as a kid, I grew up. I saw John McCain sitting in my living
Oh,
room, Janet Napolitano,
wow.
Skip Remza, Rose Mofford, a lot of the old governors and mayors and city officials. So that was just a different time, man. You know what I mean? Growing up here in Phoenix, man, I miss that. I really do miss, seeing the F1 cars racing through downtown back when the Salt River used to flow
Oh,
completely across the city. It separated, downtown from the south side, like I miss that. I miss that Phoenix, man. Those were just great times,
well,
man.
I remember on the phone booth we were talking about how we used to we would ride our bikes across town. Like I grew up on the west side, like Glendale,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like I went to Apollo High School, and
Okay.
so I would ride a bike from there literally to like 19th Avenue and like Union Hills, which is
Yeah,
far as hell, man.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and but it's like you could do that back then, you know. Now I wouldn't attempt it today.
You can't attempt it now, but like, see, we had, and for the people that are watching or ones that are even like here, back then we had the canal. So
Mhm.
the canal, even though I believe it's still dirt now, the canal was like our highway for bicycles for kids. There were no homeless people on the canals. There was bikes and
They're
fishing,
full of them now, though. Shit.
right? So you definitely can't do it now. But back then, I mean, it was the canal and the bike. I mean, I look at the bike as the true symbol of American freedom, freedom in general, because when we got on that bike, and it's funny, I was talking about this just recently. Like, what did we eat? Right. And I was like, well, back then we didn't pay for fruit because every one of our friends, or if we went to somebody's house, they had a fruit tree in their backyard or their
Yeah, there's
front yard.
orange groves everywhere. Yeah,
Everywhere. We had pomegranate, we had I mean lettuce, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we had everything here. So we didn't pay for that stuff growing up as kids because we were on our bikes at our friend's house eating that in the backyard and traveling. So we would be like, I was on the south side. And
okay.
like once we got to the canal took us as far as we wanted to go. And we didn't have to be home until the street lights came on. So
Man,
like we had so much freedom as 8, 9, 10 year olds. It's
yeah,
literally kids. I remember doing this crazy young. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
you'd end up in CPS, you know what I'm saying, nowadays. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? But
totally.
we had real freedom back then. And the bicycle, man, that allowed us to do everything that we wanted to do, man. I miss it, man. I really do. That's why Stranger Things is like such a popular show because we're watching it, allowing our kids to watch
Nostalgia.
it. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? It's like, yo, they're on bikes riding around. Like, come on, man. There's the good days, man. The good old days.
the good old days is right, man. I remember I was a ball boy for the Suns, and
Yeah,
I would have to take the bus from
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
from
yeah.
like I said, I went to Apollo, so I'd get out of Apollo High School and I'd have to take it all the way down Northern to Central, all the way down to the arena. And I'd be all tired after school and I fall asleep on the bus and I wake up in South Phoenix, like, oh shit, I missed the stop, I have to turn
Yeah,
around and go back the other way.
yeah, man. Listen, dude, you remember the Phoenix Firebirds, man, before we had the
Oh yeah.
Diamondbacks, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh yeah.
man, it was different, you know what I'm saying? Different times, man. And
Dude,
you know,
I saw Michael Jordan play with the Scottsdale Scorpions back in
really,
back in whatever it was, 94, must have been 93, 94.
baseball, right?
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Hell
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Man, you know,
I never got to see him on the basketball court because when I was a ball boy was when he was retired, but I did see him play baseball.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I try to talk about how, ancient Phoenix really was. Like when they built the arena where the Suns play now.
Yeah, it was called America West back then.
Yeah, it was America West, but they found an ancient Chinatown. See, we had a Chinatown years ago, but for some reason, obviously, certain things happened, and it was buried. And then, when they began to dig for that arena, they found the Chinatown, and it was a part of
Wow.
the underground city. So you can go to the Phoenix Suns arena and ask the attendees, the people that wear the jackets and stuff, ask them to go see the artifacts from the Chinatown that was found when they dug it. They'll take you under the Suns Arena, and there's a whole museum down there that people don't know about. There's a whole city
Crazy. That's crazy. I didn't even
downtown.
know that because I
Yeah,
had all access for a year. I could go anywhere in that arena for a year. I didn't even
really?
know.
You didn't
Yeah,
know?
no, I had no idea.
Dude, there's a whole museum down there. That museum, they closed the restaurant recently. I think it was called like Sing Hai. It was off like Washington or something. It would connect to that restaurant. You can go up. There's a whole in other sections. There's a bowling alley. The old horseshoe
Wow.
was connected to it. It used to be called the Dungeon back. So it was the horseshoe, and then there was a lower level where you would get tossed into if you were really, trouble. And that part was called the dungeon. And the doors that were sealed led to the underground tunnels in the city that's underground, Phoenix. If you walk downtown Phoenix and you see the glass squares in the concrete,
Okay.
that's how they used to let the light in. There used to be natural light down into all the different shops and things like that down there. So
Oh shit.
I'm looking to go down there and film in that area, and then also, bring that feeling of 90s Phoenix, what we grew up in, because it was a lot of fun, man. People didn't care to come here now. Now it's a popular city. It's, growing faster by the day. Back then, nobody
Yeah.
cared about Phoenix, and we had so much fun, dude.
Yeah, yeah. Like I miss those days, man. Like the late 80s, early 90s was just a different time, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
now it's just too big and sprawling, and it's just like, ugh, takes an hour to get anywhere, you know. It's just like it's not fun anymore.
yeah, yeah. Especially like, teenage 90s, that's when it's funny because like in high school, 97, I'm working, I'm playing basketball, right? Being told I look like Tupac, that was something that I heard growing up. Right? I heard that all the time here in Phoenix. But also, I saw the Phoenix Lights. So
Yeah.
it's like the man that I am today, the work ethic, the UFO studies, like everything, that really was a point for me where I think that it all came together. I just didn't realize it at the time, but everything came together. And I look, Phoenix in 97, 96, 97, 98. That was really the time when we all, like, if you look back at the music, the things you were doing, you probably can say, man, a lot of that is who I am now. Is that where it started? I don't know, but I can always look back at like 96 through 98 and say, man, that's where that mindset began to like really mold and harden
Yeah.
and into who I am today.
Well, I wonder how much my life would be different had I remained here the whole time, because I in 95 I went to Vegas for 20 years, and that just really shaped me as a person today. You know what I mean? Because those are those formative years that I was living in Vegas, you know.
Got
And
it.
then I came back here in 2016. But I want to before we get into the alien stuff, because we were just talking about the underground city. I want to know, what do you think of Tartaria? Are you familiar with this?
Tartaria?
Tartaria, yeah,
Yeah, so from what I understand, I'm not too knowledgeable on it, but I understand that it was the name of certain lands prior to what is mapped now. And I'm familiar with it based off of what I've seen when it comes to certain maps. If I'm not mistaken, I either saw, and I saw this in person, I either saw a globe or a map. I can't remember what it was exactly, but I saw something with the physical mapping of Tartaria.
yeah,
Now, another is Cibula Equivera. A lot of people hear that name. You might have heard it in National Treasure, Book of Secrets with Nicolas Cage, where they were searching for the city of gold. Now, as a filmmaker, this is how you could take the truth and make it fiction. You say that the city of gold was in Mount Rushmore, and in Mount Rushmore was carved to cover up the clues to the city of gold. Well, in reality, there's seven of them, and the seven of them were in between West Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. So you can look at Spanish maps dating back to the 1500s, I think. You can look at, especially Kino, when he mapped the peninsula and a lot of this area. He was an expert cartographer. He helped, with the missions and ushering in Christianity. But when you look at those maps from like the 1500s, probably the 1800s, it's Cibula Equivera in this area.
wow,
So they've renamed um, lands for whatever reason, history, takeover, United States. This wasn't always the United States.
yeah,
So, now we're starting to see historical documents from the archives that are coming out. And, we're looking at these documents and saying, okay, well, if this was the name, a lot of this really does make sense now because you can look at the conquest of the Moors. You can look at the
Hmm.
conquest of Islam, right? Another one is Islam is they almost took over the world. The entire religion did. It's known as the Dark Ages. They just renamed it, and we were told the Dark Ages. We are like, what is the dark? The Dark Ages is really when the Moors and Islam was like heavily dominated, and the mapping was completely different. So the victors, in present day, could be changing
Well,
names and things like that to cover up certain things.
that's what they say. History is written by the winners, right?
Man, that's and
Well, and you know what's interesting is you look at some of these older buildings, and like I can't remember the guy's name, but there's this one guy and back east, like a lot of the buildings that he did are on the East Coast, and all of them were founded, not built. They say founded. This building was founded in this year.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
And then like all of them have like a similar story, like, oh, it was there was a great fire and they rebuilt it or something like that, And you look at like all these buildings that, go underground, like so it seems like we just built over something else. And they
yeah,
had to have crazy ancient technologies. Like you look at some of like the churches, like in Europe and how old they are. We can't replicate those buildings today. You know what I mean? And we
yeah,
have all this technology and tools. They didn't have power tools back then. You know what I mean? And they're
right.
building these monstrosities that are gorgeous.
That they
You know what
can't
I mean?
replicate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
wild.
I've traveled the world, man. I studied a little bit when it comes to like architecture and art history and stuff like that. And yeah, you look at some of the structures. I've been to Rome. I've been to where Lord, it's escaping me right now. I've been to Cyprus. I've been to Hania, Athens, Parisius, Turkey, Ephesus, and you look at those structures, and even though they're weathered, I mean, they're still standing strong. They're not, you could still obviously tour them. They're able to, make money off of these ancient sites. So, some of them obviously are torn down, but they were torn down by man. They weren't torn down by weathering. You know what I'm saying? Like you look at, the Pantheon and or Parthenon and all these other places. You know what I mean? There's it's humans that does this. And back to what you said when it comes to like the fires, there was an interesting thing that I looked at where it was somewhere in the like 19 teens, maybe let's say 1900 to 1920. There was this fire that apparently hit every major city, almost kind of like how like how Maui and how the Palisades, I think is what it was called in LA or outside of LA, where Hollywood
Mhm.
was, or those celebrities lived at. It was very similar, even down to like the destruction and what it all looked like afterwards, the aftermath of it. Yeah, there's these fires that took place that you can kind of Google it and say, look, it was like I learned about it, doing the research and history on Phoenix, and there was a major flooding and there was major fires, and it's just interesting, that I looked at it on, I was like, yo, these were all major cities at that time where this happened. So,
They,
is it
they, they, they don't they
man-made?
don't teach you
Who
this
knows?
history in school, man.
What'd
It,
you say?
I said they don't teach this history in school. It's kind of messed up because then we have a jaded perspective on history. You know what I mean?
Like, it's funny, a lot of stuff you're talking, I just literally talked about like a couple days ago. We were talking about how education, Arizona and education is ranked last. Well, think about this for a second. Everybody that comes here, they learn about the cowboys and the Indians and the Wild West and all that stuff, but do they really teach that here? I mean, we had it growing up. I don't know if you have kids, but I
I
haven't heard one story about Jesse James, Billy the Kid, Geronimo, the Spanish coming in. I mean, you probably hear about Christopher Columbus. That's it.
yeah,
But it's funny how where it's actually at, it's not taught in the schools.
yeah,
And for the
yeah.
most part, they don't really learn about it elsewhere. but they have some sort of sense of it. Maybe it's through westerns, maybe it's I don't know.
Well,
But
I think what it is well, it started, I guess, when the Rockefellers took over education back in like the teens, I believe it was when they started really controlling it. Um, and then you have like in the 70s, I think that's when the Department of Education was started. I believe it was in the late 70s.
mm,
And the United States was supposedly like number one in education at that point, and it's been downhill ever since. We're like way down on the list now.
yeah,
So,
there's
so, so that's what gives credence to the argument that maybe the Department of Education should be disbanded, you know?
I one thing that I see, like with the Aliens Uncovered series, right? My family, we're a long line of educators, and in the industry, film industry, you know God first, right? That's just who I am. And I noticed that when you say God, you speak of Jesus, certain people get agitated, it gets weird,
Mhm.
right? So I had to learn how to write in code, and
Oh,
there's a lot of things that I hid. And you've seen some of my series, where there's this historical lesson that will totally detour from aliens, take a total just different route. And we'll talk about the Jesuit priests, you know what I'm saying? I've mentioned Jesus, and in a clever way. But there's a lot of things when it comes to just education and history of Arizona, speaking like Sibylle Equivera. I talk about the Peralta Stone maps. I talk about the Lost Dutchman gold. There's a much bigger picture to all those stories that are told in silos. And you don't even hear about them, like I said, in the schools. You have to go to the museums and things like that. So there's a lot of things that I've hid in my series that are in relation. I talk about going to Ephesus, Turkey. That's in my first documentary. One of the things that I wanted to do, I personally feel, and I speak in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with being able to speak in your opinion. But in the first documentary, ET or Man Made, in the first 5 minutes, I talk about something that, once again, in code, but I show the visuals. So what I do is I went to the Asia Minor, which is the old world, Ephesus, Turkey. Ephesus is the city that belonged to the Ephesians. Now you might wonder, why would the Ephesians have a book in the Bible? Well, they were very important. A lot of the apostles were Ephesians. Jesus' favorite apostle, John, was Ephesian. Now, what I did is I went to go and study at the Church of Ephesus, which was renamed a few times. It was known as the Temple of Artemis or the Temple of Diana, which is now known as the temple or the Church of Ephesus in the Bible. That's one of the seven churches that's in Revelation. So I went there, I studied, I wrote, I actually mapped out the entire perimeter. I believe it was 167 meters by 35 meters. Mapped it out, roped it off, and I paced the entire perimeter. So that way, at some point, I was writing and studying exactly where John was when he wrote and studied, because he wrote a
wow.
lot of his books in the Church of Ephesus. But in my opinion, I felt that those seven angels in Revelations were angels that were hiding in human form. Now,
Mm.
for whatever reason, and once again, this was just theory and opinion, but I wanted to go there to really try to come up with a conclusion, talking with the people there. There's so much there going on in Ephesus, that the island of Patmos, where John had his vision of Revelation. Then he came back after Jesus died. He took care of Mary. Mary's house is there as well. So there's just a lot of stuff that's in Ephesus, Turkey, that a lot of people don't know about. But I went there to see, once again, talk to the people and say, hey, look, we're these possible seven angels in these churches. Was it possible that they were angels hiding in human form? Now, when I talk to pastors and stuff about that,
Oh
yeah,
boy.
it's
Yeah.
the blood boiling, right? But
Sure.
so when I went there and I talked to the people, I got a very different outlook on things. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that I was told yes, I was correct, but I was able to, say, hey, look. And then also I was looking for the name written on white stone. So when you look in the first 5 minutes and I show my foot with the Reebok Zig Tech and you see a big white stone with ancient Greek written on there, I found a name, Angel's name written on white stone. But I
Wow.
can't show that. I
Yeah.
can't, I cannot, I can show that, but I can't verbally say this is what it is. I want you to do the research on it. I want it to be able to grow in a space where a lot of this stuff is frowned upon. You know what I'm saying? We're seeing all the images and things like that out there in today's world. Well, in my world and what I do, I like to go to these places and focus on the bigger picture, the much bigger picture. You know what I'm saying? So I hit a lot of things, man, that are just, it kind of leads to why Arizona is so important. That's a major question. Why are we seeing so many UFO sightings, not only in the United States, but in Maricopa County for a specific?
Hmm.
Maricopa County beat 31 states over a 15-year period.
Wow.
How is that even possible? And we're talking about data. I talk about that in my same documentary, ET or Man Made. So it I'm telling the story, but it's written in code. It's hidden. It's successful for a reason because it's a lot of truth. Nobody's called me a fraud yet.
Yeah.
Nobody said, "Hey, man, that dude is bullshitting," and they've proved that. You know what I'm saying? That's probably why I'm seeing the success that I'm seeing and doing the things that I'm doing because it's backed by some real serious work and it's written in a way that it's able to get passed on to the people that need to see it.
Well, let's watch a trailer from this is Investigation Alien, which is out on Netflix right now, correct?
That is correct.
And remind me because I want to hook you up with the Philosopher King. He's also part of our phone booth productions company, and
Okay.
he's got a podcast. And dude, you guys would have a great conversation. He's like a religious scholar. You know, you guys could talk for hours. I bet about.
Yeah, man, I mean, I've dealt with facsimiles. I've been underneath the Vatican, man. You know what I'm saying? Took
Oh wow.
pictures there that I wasn't supposed to take. I won't go to Rome again because I knew what I was doing. I knew it was punishable by law, but I also put those pictures in the same documentary, ET or Man Made, Aliens Uncovered. So I'm
Yeah.
really trying to uncover this story about aliens. And it's backed by travel, research, it's backed by a lot of good evidence.
Yeah. Well, let's watch this trailer here, and then we'll get into it some more.
All right, boy,
That's awesome, man.
man, that was a lot of fun, man. I'm not, once again, I don't get to the places that I'm at, um, by being a fluke. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but that's George Knapp, which
Yeah.
he's forming a counter report to ARO, which they take straight to Congress. My testimony as a Phoenix Lights witness and a 15-year-old teenager. You know what I'm saying? I'm
I was
thinking
gonna
about
say, what now during that, weren't you on the news? Didn't they interview you back when that happened?
no, I wasn't on the news. My grandmother, nah, she would have, if I don't remember giving any statements like that to authorities, people. Um, if my grandmother would have done that for me. So I remember finding there's a list. It might be with Dr. Kieti, Dr. Lynn. I might have pronounced her name wrong. But there was a list that I found of official witnesses from that night. And I was surprised to see that I was labeled as the Sky Harbor employee that saw
Mm.
the Phoenix Lights. But 15 years old, I'm like, yo, that's me. You know what I'm saying? So,
You know
yeah,
what
I was
pissed me
surprised.
off about that was that Fife Symington coming out dressed as the alien and making a mockery out of it.
Mm.
That pissed me off a little bit because it's like, that's really that I feel like discredits how many thousands of witnesses that saw it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm a little reluctant to say this, but um, yeah, he made a mockery of it, and then when you watch the interview with John Hook, all right, he did an interview with John Hook. And there was a part where he mentions that he actually saw the Phoenix Lights, right? So it's like, wow, that's pretty cool. He actually saw the Phoenix Lights. And he goes into the story and he's like, yeah, we saw it on TV. And he went outside and then, was by the Squaw Peak, or I'm sorry, Piestewa Peak. And he goes, he sees it and, he looks and whatever. And I remember watching the interview like, well, that's cool, but he messed up. This is on the news. He said this. I'm just, it's not word for word, but I know what he said. And he stated that, he saw it on the news. Well, we're talking about Phoenix in 97. We're not talking about Phoenix in 2017 or even 2007. There was no breaking news at all, especially for a UFO report. Maybe the Suns win a championship. Maybe there was breaking news when they were in the finals, but that was about it. Phoenix was not that type of city, especially on a Thursday night. The city shut down. This is at a time when they stopped selling alcohol at 10 p.m. This is a different Phoenix. I remember when they didn't even sell alcohol on Sundays,
Wow.
the 90s. You know what I'm saying? So for people, and this is one of the things as an investigator. Now I'm an investigator. I don't focus specifically on the Phoenix Lights. But as an investigator and just knowing, living here, right? Being here, and you know what I mean? There was no breaking news at nighttime in between 8 to 10:30. Come on, man. Like that's so to me, it's like he doubled down on it. And I don't understand why he would do that. And maybe Fox put him on the news because they're a news company. So hearing that story, maybe Fox, kind of let him walk the plank on that. I don't know. But when you go and look at that interview, watch that interview again. And if you were here in the 90s, one thing that you didn't even have to see the Phoenix Lights to know certain things were going on.
Yeah.
We didn't have breaking news.
Well, there's
One,
stuff happens out here all the time, like you mentioned earlier. Like the Superstition Mountains is a spot where just all kinds of shit happens. People go missing out there all the time, and there's a lot of sightings near there. And I thought what was really neat is in one of your Aliens Uncovered series, you did one specifically on Arizona.
yes.
Uh, I thought that one was really neat because you showed like there's tons of runways all over the state. In fact, there was one I used to live right across the street from the one in Supply, and I was blown away. I was like, "Holy shit, that's right there!" And so then I pulled it up on Google Maps, and yeah, absolutely, you can still see it. They just built condos right on top of it.
Yeah.
You still see the outline of it.
Yeah.
Like, how did you find out about all this, like all these runways and stuff? How do you find, where you go film and what to film? Like, where do you get your info?
So I'm a history major, man. So when it comes to just Arizona history in general, I mean, like I said, when I first moved out here, I was introduced to Tom Collenborn. He's an historian. He searched for the lost Dutchman. I knew Bob Corbin. He's in two of my movies. He shared things about the Dutchman. Bob Corbin is the reason why the police have to read Miranda rights. I knew Jim Hatt. I know Sheriff Joe. He's in three of my movies. So I've gotten a lot of history from law enforcement. Bob Corbin, all these people so the love for the history of the state of Arizona was fed to me as a kid. You know what I'm saying? So throughout the years, like the Phoenix Lights, a certain time, which was the 10 o'clock, that was over the Barry Goldwater Range. So Barry Goldwater in that area in specific has always been a question and interest because it's like those lights were more stationary. And a lot of people say those lights were a deflection once the police and things, Those lights were to get people to look everywhere at one point so that way they couldn't see everything else that was going on. That is the theory because there was about 9 to 10 craft, sometimes even more, that night. So anyway, that was always a place of interest. So I looked at the Barry Goldwater Range and I began to observe just really on Google Maps a lot of the stuff that is happening back there. And that's when I came across the knowledge of Luke Air Force Range. Now, before it
Mhm.
was Luke Air Force Base, it was Luke Air Force Range.
Mhm.
And then I learned the sheer size of Luke Air Force Range. And the entire state pretty much was Luke Air Force Range. So yeah, it was the military's playground. They started building in the 40s. But upon building, digging, you find things and you
Mhm.
learn things. And these places were these airfields, air stations, and things like that, oxfields. And I won't go too deep because there's some stuff in that movie that I know now that I didn't know then. So
So part two's coming, is what you're saying?
no, I'm not gonna do a part two on that because it's just, like living in Arizona and just knowing some of the people that I know, um, it- there's just certain things that you don't talk about. And here's why. Because you might meet somebody who works for the DOD, the DOJ, they could be CIA, right? And these are normal people. They know what you do. They want to tell you things. They
Mhm.
got to make sure they can trust you.
Right.
And being that person that's like the quote unquote whistleblower, it's not always the best because when you take information that somebody tells you in private as a friend, as a colleague, as somebody like I've ran cameras before I became a filmmaker. So I got into these spaces because I ended up doing commercials and certain things for them. So you sit down and one person is specific. This dude used to send me photos from beyond the gates of Area 51, and those photos disappeared from my phone.
Mm.
But I never placed those photos. I never talked about or mentioned him. It's funny, he in specific went to his employer, said, "Hey, I'm been asked to do a UFO documentary. How do you guys feel?" They was like, "Hey, you could do it, but we can't guarantee you'll still have your employment." So these are people that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I could mess up their livelihood. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They went to school for this. They've been doing this for 20 some, 30 something years. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that bond and that relationship is more important than being, some whistleblower trying to get famous off of shit that should be kept secret. You know what I'm saying? Like there's things that I know right now. There's places I could take you right now that I promise you'll see, you'll understand, like, yo, how do you even talk about this? They'll come for you. This
Yeah.
isn't the military we're talking about. It. They don't have to follow the FOIA, man. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But our government works with them.
Mhm.
So this is a different ball game. This isn't, you know what I mean? Like it's just not worth it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there's some things in that documentary that, like I said, I talked about, not really knowing how the relevance of some of those locations, those air stations. You know what I'm saying? Like we're talking, yeah, 3-letter agencies and all kinds of stuff, decommissioned and things. But yeah, if I had the opportunity to redo that, there's that probably that part in specific. I'd probably take that out
Mm.
because it's deep, man. It's really deep. Arizona is not the place you want to come, you
Yeah.
know, playing around in. You better know what you're doing. You better know water. Even people that just go looking for the lost Dutchman gold, they go missing for
Yeah.
a reason.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is not the place to play with. You know
Well,
what I mean?
it's the same in Nevada, growing up in Vegas, like I said, uh, we always knew about Area 51, and we know you don't get close to it. You know what I mean? The camo dudes come out and they get you.
Mhm.
And like they don't mess around, you get too close, they will shoot you.
Area 51 is a location that is known,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
There's the ones that you don't know about.
right.
The ones that, like I said, we're doing something right now with the Skywatch series. I feel the need to curve the direction that I was gonna go into. I
Okay.
feel that I'm gonna have to switch it up a bit because when you come across things that, like I said, it is being a whistleblower really worth it? Or I could do it to where it's creative to where I can show what we're seeing, but remove the landmarks completely, or just crop the scene to where you're not seeing anything that is, worth because you could go out there and get yourself killed.
Well, let's be honest.
Just
Whistleblowers don't have a great track record of, remaining alive or even being heard from after things. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to remember. There was one of them Clinton whistleblowers that they found hanging in a tree, but somehow he shot himself twice. What?
bro, that's what I'm saying, man.
Suicide? What the fuck?
There's a much deeper world than what we understand.
Yeah. Well,
And what's sad is I kind of understand it. Like I understand why there's disclosure.
mm.
I'm okay with not telling the world because the world that like they Jack Nicholson said, can you handle? Nah, you can't handle the truth, man. You really cannot handle the truth. It
Well,
will.
that's one thing I always say is like if the truth does come out, it really will mess people up. Like a lot of people can't handle it. It's going to change their whole belief structures, and a lot of it has to do with
Yeah.
their religious beliefs.
Yes.
It's
Absolutely.
really, it's really. I mean, even if like you take something like, forget about all the alien stuff. If we just talk about government corruption and how these people have been fucking us for so many years, people don't want to hear that shit either. If the truth comes out, like about, people like the Clintons or whatever, that changes their whole belief structure too, you know?
Yeah, you'll be surprised how much all of it is. It's so connected. Like paranormal activity is really the phrase that we need to focus on. It's in silos: ghosts, werewolves, vampires. You know what I mean? Like
I was,
it's all in silos. In reality, it's all paranormal activity, and everything. It's all connected. It's all connected. It's all a part of an ancient story.
yeah, I
That's
was on
exactly.
a podcast yesterday, and the guy's a paranormal researcher. I should hook you up with him too. You guys would probably have a really good chat too.
Mhm.
Um, he's a really good guy. You mentioned the uh, the Skywatch, and this is your new series.
Yeah. So
I
we
want to
got,
I want to play the trailer here, but how far into the series are you? You have a couple episodes already, or
yeah. So when I said, remember, I said when you asked me in the beginning how was the holidays, and I said I stacked some films for the fourth quarter. So we were pretty much living in the future. This is the filmmaker here. So I turned in 6 films December, right? Um, those films are starting to come out. One of them, the first one, is Skywatch, and Skywatch is a deeper, realistic approach, boots on the ground to what it takes to be an investigator, a sky watcher, right? And it's Tom King who filmed the Phoenix Lights, who's been doing this 30 plus years. Dan Starkey, who geologist. I won't go too deep on Dan because he's a he's a big name. You know what I mean? Chris Donald. I just found out. Chris Donald had, that high level clearance as when he was in the military. Also was a contractor. So, and then myself. You know what I mean? Just knowing certain areas. I got the cameras. It just, and not only that, I got the cameras that are filming the sky that a lot of people are not doing. Some of the footage that you're going to see in Skywatch, which comes out next week, January 27th.
oh shit, this is a great time to have you on. Then this
Man,
this
listen.
this episode will come out on the 27th.
Oh, man, listen, man. I'm trying to tell you, Skywatch, you're going to see. I'm going to just put it to you like this. I took, I was
Some people
able to
say UAPs.
recreate some of the footage. If you've ever seen the movie Nope, when Jean Jacket is flying through the sky
What's
at
the name of it?
nighttime,
What's the name of it?
it's called Nope. It's a
Oh,
Jordan Peele
okay.
movie.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
it's fairly new, right? Just came out last
Yeah,
year.
it came out 2022. Came out
Oh,
2 weeks.
22. Okay.
Yeah, 2022, 2 weeks before my movie came out. I rode the momentum off of that movie, to be honest with you. But those night scenes in Nope, I was able to recreate those, no post production, straight raw camera footage, and the stuff that we are seeing, capturing, it's unreal. I'm talking about stuff going behind clouds and not coming back out. I
Wow.
show you this in Skywatch.
Well, I can't wait to check it out. Let's watch the trailer, and then we'll talk some more about it.
Some people say UAPs are windows to the other dimensions.
Once you see it, you can't undo it. What appears to be blinking stars, they're really not.
We have heard that there are helicopters out here escorting orbs and other things like that.
This came down into our atmosphere. We have no idea what that object is. We can't identify that object.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy.
Maybe they are from here, and maybe they've just been here all along.
We think these spots are hotspots for UAPs because of the energy.
What they say is there's a massive craft of unknown sources in Arizona, Sedona to be specific. Word is the military accidentally turned it on. There's one right above us. It actually just disappeared.
How many of these are not satellites, just flying in our skies?
Thinking is that they're dimensional travelers.
We're gonna see what's going on because we have learned that there is a military presence in this location. What they're doing, we don't know. But that's why we're here, to investigate. Expect the unexpected, because we're living in a time where we don't know what to believe. We will continue to try to bring you answers.
Welcome to Skywatch.
Damn, dude. It's amazing. Dude, your films are getting better. You know what I mean? Like
You know what?
you can
At
see
that-
the progression, man. Like it's really
that
neat.
is so huge, and thank you, man. Like, I appreciate that because that is, as a filmmaker, like I said, I didn't go to school for this, but that is what is keeping me, you know, I don't want to say afloat, but ahead with these other filmmakers, right? Like, I'm getting better at the cameras that I'm using, and not only that, I'm using them in a way to where I can capture things that the eyes cannot see. And now I'm putting it in a story format where we are, some of these places, man, we're 8 miles in the desert where there's no paved roads. And if something goes wrong, we filmed at Bradshaw Ranch. Like, let me tell you, I'll tell you that right now. We filmed at Bradshaw Ranch. If you know about Bradshaw Ranch,
I don't.
we did it at night. We did it at night. And I'm telling you, bro, it was one of the scariest things that I've ever done. It was something that I wanted to do. And that is in this series. Like, yeah, we pushed the limits of everything. There's nobody doing what we're doing right now. I promise you that. I
Yeah.
promise.
It's cool. So I want to ask you about Three Eye Atlas because when we were on Phone Booth, it was right before that was going to happen. I know you said you were going to go out and try to film some stuff. Did you get anything? What happened with Three Eye?
So I didn't get anything with Three Eye Atlas. We did. So I host a series of Sky Watches. We film them. Some of them are private. We've been doing this since really Three Eye Atlas, but really I would say about July we've been doing this of 2025. We just had one recently, January 10th, where we pretty much had the entire state under surveillance. I had 5 locations: St. John, Sedona, South Mountain, Superstition Mountains, and Marana and Tucson. And we had the entire state under surveillance. So what I'm looking to do and present is put I would like to put the entire Southwest under a complete Skywatch, to where just a couple of phone calls, cameras are up and ready to go. You know what I mean? But when it comes to the sky, some of them are more private where there's no cameras. We're just community talking,
Yeah.
but Three Eye Atlas, what I decided to do is a great question, by the way, is January 30th. So 4 days after the release of Skywatch is the second movie, which is Aliens Uncovered Invasion. And I have a podcast. It's called Countdown to Contact. And we film that podcast. We have four callers call in and we talk about Three Eye Atlas. And now I know the event has passed, right? But there's some things that were discussed on the invasion status, invasion one and invasion two. And, it was pushed as a threat, and then now you don't hear about it anymore. So we saw into the future with that. We didn't believe it was a threat, but there was an invasion that was happening as we're going along. And so I took a different approach when it came to the Three Eye Atlas story. Why is it being pushed as a threat? And that one is in the Aliens Uncovered Invasion. That'll be coming out January 30th of this year.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Um, well, I want to get into a couple more things before we wrap up here.
Okay.
And one of them that I kind of wanted to talk about and just kind of get your opinion on is Stargates. Maybe you said you travel the world. Maybe you've been to some. Like, what's your opinion on these Stargates?
Stargate. So you mean like a portal?
Yeah, like supposedly that's why we invaded Iraq, was to take over one of their Stargates or something like that. I don't know if there's truth to that, but that's one of the theories floating around.
Um, First off, let me say this. I do think when military action picks up, we've made a discovery, especially when we decide to build a base there. When you
Hmm.
build, you got to dig. And when you dig, you find things. It's happened all over Arizona, so it's going to happen all over the world, right? With that being said, there are areas of heightened energy.
Like
We
Sedona.
got like Sedona, like the Superstition Mountains. Um, there's so many stories, local stories of people here in Arizona that have walked through portals. I believe the young lady, there was a young lady that came from like Boston. She visited this cop. They went out on a hike. It was hot, and she ended up passing away. I believe she walked through a portal. Uh, they pop up everywhere. Sometimes they're big, sometimes they're small. We might have actual evidence of one. Um, we're looking at something that Dan filmed, and I can kind of break it down for you. He has a GoPro on his truck, and like I said, we're 8 miles away from any paved road. The GoPro picks up a red light that we thought might have been a red light from a trail cam. It looks like an LED light. So we thought maybe there might have been some sort of trail cam, maybe some sort of laser kind of thing, and the GoPro picked that up. We went down, investigated in the exact area where this light was. No, no trail cams, no nothing. Upon further investigation, when you zoom in on the light, it's almost a perfect heart.
Wow.
And the only thing that I could think of, because we thought maybe it was a reflection, because there's a GoPro red light on the front of it that flashes, letting you know it's recording. So we thought maybe that was it. Well, this light is a long, skinny rectangle. So there's no way that it's going to somehow project and then come back as a heart, right? Um, we didn't know at the time that the area that we were at, it's called the Overlook. It's right before you go down into Bradshaw Ranch. We didn't know that that area in specific is supposed to be where the portal is. No idea. So we did some research and digging and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, they say the people up in Sedona say that this is where the portal is. They talk about taking their Jeep tours up there and being up there, supposedly being there at the same time, but they didn't see each other.
Hmm.
So they say this could be somehow some sort of portal or something like that. Well, possible that there was some sort of atmospheric something that was going on, kind of like how we see in like the Matrix, you know what I'm saying? Or these movies where it looks like a mirror almost. And we think possibly that the red light might have reflected or came back, or there was some sort of light being sent from that atmosphere because there's nothing out there. There's no
Right.
buildings. There's nothing, dude. There's not, and I mean this same area. When I set up the camera, there's lights that we couldn't see with our eyes that are coming up out of Bradshaw Ranch.
Hmm.
It is the most confusing thing that I've ever investigated. And we're not even going to sit here and try. Oh, we found the answers. No, we started at one plot spot. We moved closer, and now we're just like, I mean, we went down into the property and just, I mean, it was one of the scariest things I've ever done. You know what I mean? Especially in the middle of the night. But it's just lights everywhere. And then there was this, it's just crazy stuff, man. But yeah, I believe the portals, stargates, wormholes. I believe it's all the same thing. Um, but yes, I believe in them. I believe that there's ones that you could physically walk through, and then there's some of the ones where it's like more of a conscious portal. A
Okay.
lot of people experience them. They go hiking in Sedona, or they go hiking, in the Superstition Mountains, and even Steve Jobs. I think Leonardo da Vinci. There's stories of those two in specific going to a mountain range, and they came back with information that they didn't have prior.
Yeah.
So, I think it's a real thing. I think, like you said, stargates, I do believe in them. And whether it's something that you physically walk through, hell, there's Geronimo. There's actual stories of Geronimo. People have no idea why they yelled Geronimo and jumped off of things as kids. We did this, right?
Right. Right.
Geronimo from the Union soldiers. Once again, this is only stuff that you'll never hear in a schoolroom. You got to go to the museums. You got to go to the reservations, San Carlos. Go to the Superstition Mountains, and they'll tell you about Geronimo and
Hmm.
how he would escape the Union soldiers. Why he was so feared. Why his grave was robbed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Skull and Bones robbed his grave, right?
George Bush's grandfather.
Yeah.
I'm glad you know that.
Prescott. Yep.
Prescott Bush. He went out there because they believed that the Saddlehorn and all his belongings had the secrets to the mountains. So what Geronimo, Union soldiers saw this. They said they had Geronimo trapped in a canyon, him and his men. They said Geronimo went into a mountain and was in Albuquerque, New Mexico, like 30 minutes later.
Wow.
And that's also documented. But when the Union soldiers went to go see where he was, they said they could hear his voice in the mountain,
Whoa.
and it faded away. So this is kind of crazy, right? We didn't learn about Geronimo in school growing up.
Nope.
Yet we ran and jumped off of pools and diving boards and Geronimo. All kinds of kids around the nation
Yeah.
did that. Yet we didn't learn that as kids. So what's up with that? You know what I'm saying? Like there's a conscious portal aspect to where I think it's stored in quartz somehow. A majority of the world is like a granite quartz silica, and a lot of it is here in Arizona. With that being said, I think there's a conscious aspect to where we can download information like computers, you know what I'm saying, or something like that, to where we're just USB sticks, and we're just here to just get as much information as we can before we go on to the next life. You know what I mean? But yeah, I absolutely believe in portals, stargates. I've experienced time differently. I've seen things differently. The Phoenix Lights, was one of them. But yeah, I absolutely believe in stargates.
Cool, cool. Well, one more thing, and I don't know how much you want to talk about this, but you said you're working on a prequel to the Adams Family. You told me off stream, but I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know if you want to talk about that at all. But I'm curious.
Yeah,
I want to know about it. So.
maybe may I don't know if you can cut this out, but yeah, I'm working
Well,
on a
I don't want
prequel.
to cut it out. If you don't want to
Okay,
talk
yeah,
about it,
so
you don't have to talk about it.
yeah, well, that's kind of, that's yeah, that's just something that, yeah, I won't talk about that. But yeah, that's underway. There's a few things going on right now.
Well, I'll be
Um,
excited to see it because it sounds like something maybe be a little bit more lighthearted, not as heavy as some of the topics that you present, in the other documentaries and stuff.
well, that's going to be this is so now I'm exploring like true motion picture film, right? And that's one of the things that the approval was given. There's something else that yeah, I probably shouldn't talk about that one either, but we're doing something as well. This is more of a documentary series, and it's a yeah, it's a documentary series, but I'm going to start flirting more into the, like I said, the motion picture, the film aspect, of things. And, character development for the prequel is definitely underway for that. But yeah, man, that's, like I said, my path is, gone in a way to where it started with an idea. I filmed it. I had the resources that were given to me. I used my phone. I used, the voice recording apps, the talk to text, and even edited it on a phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
it's amazing.
and yeah, and then the consistency behind it. You know what I mean? You got to stay consistent, and that is opened up doors that haven't opened for a lot of people, and I'm blessed to be able to do the things that I'm going to do and continue to do.
That's awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to sit and talk with me for a little bit today. Cause dude, it just seems like you don't stop working, man. You got so
Yeah.
much going on. I want to pull up this UPC code again real quick so everybody can scan this, and it takes you right to Clive's website, Golden Record Productions. So go ahead and scan that UPC code, and you can find out everything about what Clive has going on and his many documentaries that he's got. How many do you have now? About 30?
Man, I've
More?
lost count, man.
More?
There's 24 aliens uncovered, Skywatches. There's 4 of them done now. Um, we just finished the Jodi Arias. Jodi Arias was released in December. I forgot about that. Dear Jodi.
She was
There's a-
released. Oh, the film.
no,
I was
no,
like, wait a minute.
no. I did a. It's an interesting piece. It's called Dear Jodi, and I was trying to interview her, and there were some things that happened on her end where she wasn't able to book the interview. So it was like I wrote a letter to Jodi Arias. So it's I was able to get Sheriff Joe involved. I also know the stoppers detective who was over Maricopa County at that time, and everything that was going on with Jodi. So I just got these law enforcement um, people that are involved, and we're able to put this together and make it happen. So, Dear Jodi came out, December. I think December 5th. It's available on Fawsome now. So yeah, man, I might be at 30. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm probably over 30. I think
Wow.
about it. Yeah. So,
And
but
then
it's
and that's just over a short time period, too. I mean, shit.
yeah, dude, that's the thing, man. Like, some of these companies are reaching out to me and they're like, well, how are you doing this? And I don't want to give away too many, secrets to them because they're professionally done. And like when you look at Skywatch, man, you wouldn't believe the budget that I got Skywatch. Skywatch looks like a $50,000 to $75,000 production, which is considered a low budget. You know what I'm saying? But man, you'd be surprised what I'm able to pull off, man. And it's just, having great people behind my corner, making things happen for me, man. Because I mean, at Skywatch, dude, we're flying helicopters. We've got off-road vehicles 8 miles in the middle of nowhere. We're testing ground temperatures on ground and air. We're doing stuff that, like I said, Skywatch. When you watch that, you're gonna be like, "Yo, that I can't believe." It's fun. It's exciting.
Yeah.
You're gonna enjoy it. Skywatch, January 27th. You'll see what I'm talking about, and
Well,
it's a series too.
I definitely look forward to it. And, you keep putting stuff out, I'll keep promoting it. you know.
Man, I appreciate you and everything that you're doing for me, man. Once again, anytime you reach out, you know what I'm saying? You got the number now, We'll stay away from the Facebook because I'm not really on there like that. So, but yeah, you
All
got
right.
the number, man. Just, reach out and, we'll make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you, man. Really, for real. I really do.
Well, thank you again for being here. Don't hang up. We'll talk after the stream, but thanks again for being here. Everybody, check out Clive Christopher. Check out Aliens Uncovered. Check out Skywatch. Watch for this dude's future projects, man. They're amazing. But thanks again, Clive.